What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Jersey Comic Crew. Chris and Rob here, and today we are breaking down Hawkeye Episode 3. It was a fantastic episode. Rob and I are so excited. I might be a little hopped up on caffeine. But Rob, this was a big episode. We had so much revealed in not a lot of time. Let's just get right into it, man. What did you think?
This is probably one of the best hours of television history, period. This felt like in the middle of a movie. When the episode ended, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize that we had only an hour already passed, right? I'm like, we need more. This feels like one long movie, which is fantastic. Yep. We got the origins of Echo, right? Maya Lopez, we see her, deaf, talking to her father. Cool, she fights, all right. She has to learn to deal with the things of two worlds. Kingpin's real, all right? Her uncle, some white guy in a suit, touched her shoulders, and immediately he had big meaty claws, and I'm like, that's the Kingpin. That's the Kingpin. I didn't need anything else. I just there's a white guy, close family to her, boom.
In a black suit.
And the father's dead, and then later in the episode, she's having an argument. She's arguing with Kazi, right? The clown guy from the comics, right? And he's like, Uncle wouldn't be happy that we're doing this. I know we're chasing Ronan because he killed your father, but Uncle wouldn't be happy. I'm like, Uncle? Okay. We saw a fat white hand before. It's the Kingpin, Chris. I am so excited. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. I don't need anything else.
It's that. It was Uncle. It wasn't Jackie Chan's uncle from the series. No. This is Kingpin. We are confirming it. Absolutely. Interesting couple notes during this, though. During Maya's origin, number one, obviously the deaf stuff really came into play. Her sign language, she was in a school that was a normal school. She thought she was going to like a deaf school for more people like her. And her father had this, really great talk with her in her like childhood bedroom about like, no, you got to make sure that, you can read people without just using sign language. You technically have an advantage now. You're going to be able to see things, and kind of turning this disability into this positive for her life, I thought was a fantastic way of doing this 100%. Origin. And all the way to where he dies and is killed by the Ronin, and he's clearly like the head of the tracksuit mafia at this time. He kind of touches her face, and the blood has the handprint on her face, which we know is a part of her like superhero moniker, as well as we saw a handprint, like a kid's handprint in like finger paint class in her bedroom, right next to an owl, an oddly placed little stuffed owl. Now, fans of the comics know who the owl is. He is like a New York street level regional villain, and he's got like crazy hair, kind of like Wolverine crazy hair. He's a hairy dude who works for the Kingpin and also tries to take over and become the Kingpin. So
I mean, there is an argument, right? There is an argument that this uncle might be the owl and not Kingpin. Right? We're hatching our eggs or counting our eggs in a basket before, whatever the phrase is. What if we're too excited? Thank you. Right? And it's just the owl, right? But then we saw the Fat Man Body Shop, right? The Fat Man. Who's a big fat man? A lot of people, but we're talking about the Kingpin in this, all right?
I doubt it's Blob.
I don't think it's the Blob.
Yeah, I agree with you with the Fat Man Body Shop, where, Maya shows up while the Ronin is just demolishing the tracksuit Ronins and kills her father, and kind of creates this revenge arc for her, which now makes sense. But we right next to the Fat Man Auto Shop. This uncle, obviously in the comics, Kingpin is like her stepfather, right? It's kind of, she gets adopted by him and is raised by him, and then she eventually hates him. Now it seems like they're making, him more of the uncle that isn't a part of the family, but is like family. They just know him as the uncle. I
guess modernizing it just a little bit, making it work for the MCU. But let's focus a little bit more on Echo, because we could talk Kingpin all day, right? Echo, we see her disability, and she confronts Clint and lets Clint know, like, hey, you're relying too much on technology, talking about his earpiece, right?
Yeah.
Which leads into this amazing escape scene with Hawkeye breaking out, shooting everybody down, riding in the car with Kate Bishop, showing her the trick arrows, coming out, using the glob one. There's the pin one that makes things giant.
Oh, that was so cool.
Like, all these different things. We've never seen these trick arrows before, and to see it on the screen, I'm like, these would have been helpful against Thanos. Like, why did you not have them before? I guess after Thanos, he was like, listen, I need to be prepared. Let me have all this kind of stuff. And like wrapping up, he became the Hawkeye that we always wanted. and we didn't get now. And, there's that fear that we're not going to get Hawkeye anymore. So it's like, let this not be the end. I want to see you do crazy stuff with all these trick arrows.
Yeah, the trick arrows were insane. I thought they also kind of like took stuff from power sets from different heroes, right? Like the one that was shot that had like the tendrils come out and grab all the Christmas trees and cover.
Oh, that was cool.
Like, it was almost like Spider-Man like homage. So like, oh, like webs can do this. Let me have something that like pulls stuff in. Like the bomb stuff, the Pym one, obviously. And all that stuff is, again, out of this Fraction David Aja run. There's an entire amazing car chase scene in the comic book that is like almost frame for frame.
Oh, really?
The only difference is they're in the Challenger in the comics, which I love that Clint's like, I'm not ruining a 72 Challenger.
Yeah, that was nice.
And then 2, Kate's actually driving and Clint's shooting in the comics, so they flipped that as well.
Oh, and they literally said that when they're getting in. Hey, you drive, and she wanted to drive the Challenger, and then he changed his mind and got into this.
And that was also cool. That was a trick in the trailer. So we hear Kate going like, what do you mean? I don't have my license. I can't drive. You drive. Like, blah, blah, blah. And in Clint's, when he loses that hearing aid, it's all muffled in the show. Right. So that was a big kind of like a hidden hint for the show as well. So that was great. And like, I love that in the car chase, they're like trying to communicate. And he's like hard of hearing and he can't really hear fully. And she's just like, oh, we're finally communicating, because they had the same idea when it's like shooting the arrows.
Yeah, I gotta say, like him not hearing kind of stopped him from being this tough front, right? And kind of just say things how he felt them and what she needed to hear. Like, hey, you might be one of the greatest marksmen, he says after the fight scene. Hey, you should feed the dog. And she's like, yeah, we should take the dog out, right? And it shows that like they're on the same mind, they're on the same wavelength, right? So it's like, oh, this student mentor mentee relationship might actually come to a fruition towards the end of the series, which is going to be really cool. And the dog gets the name Pizza Dog.
Love it. So, perfect. And I love that scene too, because you kind of had one, like, Kate's still trying to be like, you're Hawkeye, you're a superhero. Like, she's obviously part fangirling out, right?
Yeah, of course.
Her favorite superhero. She's, got her life saved by him.
Yeah.
Almost accidentally. And she draws the original Hawkeye suit from the comic book.
Which is cool. Yeah, I like that.
Which I thought was hilarious. And then on top of that, she's talking to him about like, hey, like, this is what I figured out. And he's like, we're on the same page. Like, the tracksuits are not going to stop hunting us now. Yep. But she clearly has no idea who Ronan is yet. And she doesn't realize that Clint is Ronan. Clint mentioned to Echo in the beginning, right, that Black Widow took the Ronan down. Like, she stopped the Ronan. And for us, the audience, we know what that means, right? Like, she gave Clint hope about getting his family back at the end of Endgame. But they think like, oh, like, so the Ronan who killed my father in the tracksuits is somewhere out there again. Could this character still be out there? Was that Clint or not? That's a question we don't know.
Oh, what if it's somebody different?
Yet. Maybe, but at the same time, Echo is obviously on this one warpath going after this Ronin, and Clint is trying to kind of like almost you can tell he wants to take Kate under his wing, but he also doesn't, because he tells her the lifestyle's insane. Like, you're gonna lose everything.
Yeah, like his. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Let me do that again.
Yeah, I was gonna do that. Yeah, I was
gonna throw it to you for the phone call.
I figured I cut you off. Go ahead.
So like, that's something we see again, where he's like, this lifestyle's crazy. You don't want this, which, Rob, we see in my absolute favorite scene of this entire episode, even with the Kingpin stuff, the phone call from his son that
bro.
Kate has to
God.
translate. What'd you think about that one?
So I don't know if it's one of my favorite scenes. This is, like I said, one of the best hours of television in a long time. Just so many things happening. But the scene where he's trying to talk to his son and he can't because of his hearing, right? And like, Kate has to write things down, and you feel the weight. He's like, sorry, there's a bit of a delay. And you can see it on his face. The acting by him is, oh my God, is so good.
By both of them.
Like, Jeremy Renner hit his stride here, and like, he's so much better than he was. And like, I want to see him more. Like, keep going forever. All man Hawkeye all day, every day.
Oh yeah.
But like, she's relaying the messages to him, kind of like this game of telephone. And he's like, yeah, I won't be there today. I'll be there in like a day or two. I'm gonna make it for Christmas. And the boy took a long pause. He's like, it's okay if you don't make it for Christmas. We understand.
My God,
heartbreaking. And then like,
and the one manly tear that's welling up.
Even Kate's like distraught, like writing this to him. She's like, oh my God, like, you're going through all this. I see. She's starting to understand the weight of it. Obviously, she doesn't know the Ronin side yet, but she's getting the weight of like what's going on with her family. But her own family, she doesn't know if she could trust. So maybe it's not the worst thing for her, right? Like they go and break in. Break in is like a loose word. Like they walk in, right? She just like, hi mom, I'm here.
She used her key.
She used her key. Breaking
she went
in.
home.
That's like when you're younger, you hacked somebody's Facebook because you just typed in the password and it's like a close friend, and then you write silly stands like, oh my god, this person likes doo-doo hair. Like, oh, I hacked their Facebook. The same kind of thing,
hair.
right? But she hacks it, tries to get more information on Kazi trying to get more information on Kazi, we know as the clown, and get more information on Jock and everything else that they have, this criminal database, to try to see what's going on here. Gets a little information on Kazi, but then when she tries to research Jack, everything shuts down. And now while all this is happening, this is that last scene you guys know what I'm talking about, ends on a giant cliffhanger. Clint notices something or feels something, hears something off, starts walking to the other room, and then sword right to his neck, and is shocked.
Yes.
And then it cuts. And that leads me to a question: How did Clint notice that? He's hearing it, he's there, but like, did he hear him? Did he see him? What was the energy that he felt?
I think there was a small sound, like either a creak footstep or something. Okay. If you go back and watch it again, there's something where like he hears something and kind of like knows they're not alone. And one, it's just he's been doing this forever, right?
That's true.
He knows all the tells. Yeah. He's also a super spy. He worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, we saw what the damage he did with those arrows in that escape scene, like where he's flipping in midair and it's just slow mo. It's phenomenal. But he walks in the room. Jack is right there, which it looked like he had the Ronin sword.
It was the Ronin sword. I made sure of it. I double checked.
And the other thing about that scene, which I thought was interesting, Rob, is when they looked up Kazi the Clown, he was attached to what to me looked like some shell corporation that all rich industrialites use for hiding money.
Of course, that's what we all do.
And yes, well, all of us. Okay, all
of us oligarchs.
Yes, of course. And there was a company called Sloan Ltd.
Yeah, what was that?
The name Sloan reminds me of the character from the comics named Willie Sloan, who was one of the big-time generals and works for who else? Kingpin.
Oh.
So is this a shell corporation where Kingpin is able to launder money and hide stuff, use certain people for, his Kingpin's web of power and connection and money it's so wide that even in the comics you don't even know where it stretches. That's part of the lore of Kingpin, right?
We also saw that in the Daredevil show, though. Like we understand how intricate everything is, and even Hawkeye was like, "Hey, that sounds familiar," so maybe he knows him. I don't know.
And Hawkeye sounds familiar, which we're definitely talking about in the next episode. But as far as that last scene, Rob, I think the biggest question right now is, because it ended on a cliffhanger, Jack's name got mentioned, I think, 2 or 3 times throughout the episode, and Hawkeye didn't flinch.
No.
Right? And he kind of came in and was looking at all the swords and was like, oh, the swords, like made kind of a side comment.
Yeah, he was looking at it. Like, he definitely got that edge.
Now, are they going to know who each other are in the beginning of episode 4? Or is it going to be, is Hawkeye going to go, crap, I can't let the kid know I was Ronin, it'll break her heart, about how how gung-ho she is about being Hawkeye, how she sees Clint, especially after that talk with his son, and how emotionally that made her, because he's a hero, right? He came and helped a stranger and her without any regard for his own family and time. So
the reason, for those of you who are wondering why is Chris asking this question, if you don't know, Jacques in the comics is a character known as Swordsman, who's actually the person who trained Hawkeye back in the day. He's kind of this Avenger / anti-hero. He's done a lot of things here and there, but that's a very interesting thing. And he had the Ronin sword, and he wanted the Ronin sword. So maybe he trained Hawkeye to be Ronin, or knows about Ronin. Maybe he's the other Ronin, right? So I think that'd be pretty cool to see it, that they know each other. And I'm leaning towards yes. And the reason I'm leaning towards yes, that he knows him and that he's not going to be a bad guy and this major threat like that we thought, was because it ended at a cliffhanger with a sword to the neck, right? The people at Marvel Studios wants us to think that Jack's a threat, right? They've been building up, and now we're going to get this turn like, oh, him and Hawkeye know each other. Okay, he's not really a bad guy. The mom's probably going to be the bad guy, or somebody else. Like the obvious one is not going to be the one who you think it is. So they're like, I think that's going to be to us, especially with ending at a cliffhanger, but we won't know for another week.
I think there's 2 options here.
Oh, yeah, it's either yes or no.
Well, yes, but the one option is if they know each other, I don't think they're going to say anything because Jack doesn't want his cover blown in front of Kate and Kate being right. And then she tells her mother and that domino effect, ruining his chance of the amount of fortune that the bishops have, as well as the power and everything else. It seems like he's been trying to climb and get.
Maybe.
Number two is if they don't know each other, I think they're going to play it off as they don't know each other, but we'll find out later that they do. Like Clint's going to leave and meet up with him and be like, the hell are you doing here kind of thing. And he's like trying to squash the Ronin, but maybe Jack's trying to continue the Ronin.
See, I think he would just do it right then and there. He would just confront it with a sword
and blow the cover in front of Kate.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna. I think he's too smart for that. I think the scene with them in episode 2, like fencing, I think that to me said he really wants to keep this cover for now because he played it off so well as if he doesn't know what she's talking about.
Well, that's true, but now
doubling,
she's
tripling down.
Yeah, but now that Hawkeye's there with her, obviously, like she's out of that bubble, right? She's out of that bubble just being that girl's daughter. She's more involved. She's in that vigilante role. He's going to have to break it. And I think the reason I believe that Hawkeye's just going to call him out on it is because Hawkeye doesn't play games anymore, right? He's too old. He's lost too much. He's trying to get this shit solved so he can go with his family. So him saying, oh my God, it's okay, dude. We're just here to help versus, hey, what the hell are you doing here, man? Like, I didn't even know you were in this. And then try to do some secret meeting later. We don't have enough time. We have 3 episodes left. We have 3 episodes left. We have 3 days till Christmas. Hawkeye's a no-nonsense kind of guy. That's why I think that.
He is, but the one secret is the Ronin.
Yeah.
That's the one he is absolutely no nonsense. He doesn't have time for the marketing, Hawkeye's the superhero. He's a background guy, and he's embraced that. But the Ronin secret, especially when it comes to Kate, because it's the one person that kind of views him on this pedestal more so than anybody else, even like more so than his own family at this point.
Well, I think the next episode is going to deal with the Ronin secret and let Kate know. And Kate's going to be like, never meet your hero. Is going to be ashamed of Hawkeye.
Yeah, it
feel that way. Right? And then maybe that's going to cause her to go off on her own, which then forces him to save her, which is kind of like a reverse of what happened in the last episode. So I think that's going to be a nice little tension builder. And also, maybe we're going to see some more Hawkeye secrets. That's my thinking, but I definitely see your point.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think we're in this kind of Act 2 now of this 6-hour movie, right?
Yeah.
So right now, Act 2, we're in the conflict stage and the twist stage and the flip stage. So Kate's gonna have to figure out somehow that was Ronin. Did Clint kill Maya's father? That's totally a possibility.
Probably.
And probable during that time. And Clint knew some other stuff, which, guys, we are definitely going to talk about more Kingpin and more connections with Hawkeye and behind-the-scenes stuff in the next episode in our theories video. But I totally think we're going to have to see some type of conflict before the resolution of him saving her and her kind of becoming next Hawkeye.
Guys, we want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. What you thought of this great episode from Hawkeye. Is that actually Kingpin or is that the Owl? What do you think of Jack Duquesne's character? Maybe knowing Hawkeye. Let us know all of your theories down in the comments below.
And guys, thanks so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up, really helps the channel out a lot. And if you're new, subscribe, turn on those notifications. You don't miss any more of our Hawkeye coverage. We've got another episode coming out very soon, and we are covering it every single week for you. And if you missed anything, make sure to check it out on the channel right here. And as always, I'm Chris Heller. That's Rob Moran. We're the Jersey Comic Crew, and we will see you next time.